simplified form using the table, but then there's going to be a next step. We're going to do an expression. We're going to simplify the expression using variable values. So our first step is the table. Okay, make the table. So for all the problems, the first step, make the tables. So I'm going to quickly go make the table. You guys should be pretty quick at it too. Remember, if you double click, it makes the box show back up. So you can do the next one. Double click. And then after I have all the pieces there, I'm going to move them around, right? So this is no big deal stuff. To move it, we hit this little X, the double arrow, go to the box, hit its double arrow. Everybody should be comfortable with that, right? Put my lines between, not my eraser, my lines. Okay. Lines, lines. We're making the table. So in the first problem, we had the big long stream. We made the table. We simplified. That was numbers 1 through 4. In the second one, second grouping, we turned the words into their parentheses expressions. Use the table to simplify. So now we're going to go back to what we started with, the one expression that we're going to simplify. What comes first? And where does it go? What comes first and where does it go? What comes first and where does it go? Come on, guys. We've done multiples of these today. This should be quick stuff. Okay, the 4x goes into the x column. Thank you. Then what? We got the 4x in the x column. Now what? The 2 goes in the number column. Yes. Remember, all you have to do is double click on it. As long as this is lit up over here, we can double click out in the middle and it opens one. What's next? The 7x squared goes in the x squared column. Good. Keep it going. 4x goes back to the x column. Okay. There's now a y in the y column. Okay. 2x goes back in the x column. Y squared goes in the y squared column. Remember, we get the square by shift 6. And then our last piece, our 8y. 8y goes in the y column, right? Now, when I see this y to the second power, how many of them are there? Without having a number in front of it, we know for sure how many are there. How many are there? Because if I put a 2 in front of it, it means there's 2 of them, right? So if there's no number, how many are there? Would I bother to write it down if there were 0? So if 2 means there's 2 of them, and I wouldn't write it if there's 0 of them, how many are there if I just see a y by itself, or a y squared by itself, or an x by itself, or whatever? 1 of them. Yes, as soon as you write it, there is 1. But we don't put a 1 in front of it because that number in front means multiply. And we don't do 1 times when we multiply. It's a waste. Okay, so we've got our things rearranged on the table. We're going to get our simplified expression from it. Simplified expression from it. So reading the table from left to right, what am I going to say my equation says now that I've simplified it? What's the first thing we're going to write? Our expression says what first? What's our first column say? Do we have anything we're changing? Are we combining anything for the first column? No. So we're just going to do a 7x to the second power. Yes. Arrow off. Plus. What's our x column all together say? I have a 4x plus a 4x plus a 2x, all together 10x. Okay, what's next? The y squared, y to the second power. Arrow to get off, plus what's next? 9y. And our last thing we're going to write, 2. This is the simplified expression. So we've finished the first piece. Write your answers as a simplified form. There it is, the simplified form. Now we have to then evaluate the simplified expression for the values given. So they told me that, I'm getting it a little bigger, the x was worth -2 and the y is worth 3. So anywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a -2 in parentheses. Anywhere I see a y, I'm going to put a 3 in parentheses. Whatever number you put in, it goes in parentheses. No matter if it's plus or minus, it doesn't matter, in parentheses, okay? So my first line would go 7, parentheses, -2, close it to the second. Because I replaced the x, but not the exponent. Okay, the exponent's still there. Then I would say plus 10, parentheses, -2, because that's another x. And x is worth -2. What am I going to put in for the y? What am I going to put in for the y? What did it tell us? What does it say the y is worth? They told me up here that my x was -2. What did they say my y was worth? +3. So in parentheses, I put the 3 and it's a squared, right? Plus a 9 times a 3. So whatever the value is, whatever you're replacing, parentheses, okay? Because that means multiply. Okay, so now I have to use my PEMDAS, my order of operations, to solve this number. This is a number, it's just spread out. We're going to condense it down to the number it's supposed to be, okay? So with that in mind, what comes first on the order of operations? What should I be doing first for the order of operations? According to our order of operations, what comes first? Order of operations is PEMDAS. What comes first? Our PEMDAS starts with the letter E. What comes first in our order of operations? Parentheses. Now, by parentheses, they don't mean what we have here. By parentheses, got this second piece and these two were in parentheses. Those are parentheses. It means it's a grouping that has adding and subtracting in the parentheses with the problem, okay? So when they say parentheses, it's not just the brackets, it's that there's addition and subtraction going on inside the bracket. So this one doesn't have a parentheses because I don't have anything going inside the parentheses that's adding and subtracting, okay? If I had had something like a 7 parentheses x plus 2, and I replaced that x with the -2, I would have to go ahead and clean the parentheses up. But they don't have a plus or minus inside. It's not two parts that we need to combine together. For this problem, like Christian said, our first thing we have to do is these exponents. Okay, first thing we have to do is the exponents. We are not changing the 7. Okay, we're just doing the exponent piece, and that says -2 to the second power. So what is -2 to the second power going to be? What is -2? 4, because -2 times -2 makes +4. We did not change the 10. We did not change the -2. We're now on our next exponent. 3 to the second power. What's that? 3 to the second power. What's that? 9. Okay. We did not change the 9 with the 3 or the 2. I am only cleaning up the exponent piece. That's it. Don't change anything else. Okay. According to our PEMDAS, it goes parentheses, which means grouping that has 2 parts that need to add or subtract inside. Then it goes exponents, and then it goes what? What's our next level of the order of operation? What's our next level? When we think about our PEMDAS, what's our next level? Think of the order of operations, the PEMDAS. What would the next level be? Half right, Princia. This is where a lot of elementary level teachers mess people up. Princia is half right. What half is she missing? Dividing. It is not parentheses, exponents, multiply, then divide. It's not. It's parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide like you read the problem from left to right. So had we have division in our problem, which we don't, and it came first, divide comes first. If multiply comes first, then multiply comes first. You need to get away from thinking that it's parentheses, exponents, multiply, then divide. It's not. Multiply and divide are the same level. Multiply and divide are like you read the problem. In the sequence, the problem gives it to you, okay? In our case, we don't have to worry about it. It's only multiply. So a 7 times 4, how much? Seven times 4 is how much? Thank you, 28. And a 10 times a -2 is how much? -20. Notice how the -20 is on the problem. Then we didn't change the 9, but we have a 9 times 3. 27, and we have the 2 that we didn't change. Okay, remember, we're only changing one piece, one level at a time. So then we have our next level of our PEMDAS. So level 1 was grouping, but we didn't have any. Level 2 was our exponents, and we only changed those pieces that were exponents attached. Level 3 was our multiply or divide like we read it, and we happen to have just multiply. Now we're on level 4. So what comes next in the order of operations after our multiplying and dividing? After our multiplying and dividing, what comes next? Half right. Maritza, half right with adding. And subtracting. Just like the multiplying and dividing, just because they put the A before the S doesn't mean you do addition before subtraction. Just because they put the M before the D doesn't mean you do the multiply before the divide. Multiply and divide are like you read the problem, add and subtract are like you read the problem. So if subtraction comes first in the problem, you handle subtraction first. If addition comes first in the problem, you handle addition first. It depends on who comes first. Okay, so we happen to have a subtraction because we know negative means subtract. So this says 28 minus 20. What would that be? $28 minus 20, because I see that negative, it means subtraction. So 28 plus a negative 20 is the same thing as saying 28 minus 20. So it's 8. We didn't change the 9 with subtraction. We didn't change the 27 with subtraction. We didn't change the 2 with subtraction. We are now able to pull it together for a final answer. So you are only changing one small piece at a time. And I know for some of you, this seems like a lot of work. Why do I have to write it all out like this? But for some of you, the problem is you're skipping stuff by not writing it all out like this. So you're just doing one piece at a time. I have finished the exponents. I have finished the multiply. A subtract happened to come first, so I dealt with the subtract. Now I get to pull it all together. An 8 plus a 9 plus a 27 plus a 2. What do we get? An 8 plus a 9 plus a 27 plus a 2. What do we get? 46. That is part of the final answer, and this simplified form is the other part of the final answer. Okay? Okay?